well, I'm going to kick off the Q&A with a question, and then we're going to open up to the audience, because I'm sure you guys have lots you want to discuss. So I love the structure of this film. I think because to me, it's very unusual. The explicitly brutal elements of the film are largely in the first half of the film, and then the second half kind of becomes this sort of a character study of Ellie and how he deals with the aftermath of these sort of unthinkable things that have happened to him. So can you talk a bit about like the concept and the structure and how you came up with that? Oh, you got one.
Okay, thank you very much for being here again. I want to, as far as much as I can say, I guess it's, I want to start the movie with an image that we're very used to in Mexico, and seeing it in the way that we usually see it, which is we don't know why or exactly who was that person that's hanging in the bridge. So we see this image, and then when, as an audience and as a public that sees that image, you have certain feelings, no? And then part of it, you don't know who it was, maybe you think he deserved it or something like that, and then you see who that person was, and that's something that the movie does in the next half of the movie. So that was the idea of starting with that, and since that happened at the half, then the rest is just the consequences of what happened, and the things that Ellie can think of doing, like once the sister comes back, that he goes to look for supposed revenge, that we don't know if he exactly takes the revenge on the correct person or not. And that was the main idea of that part of the movie. And I don't know, I wasn't thinking, when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking so much of the structure, that in a way it comes with the editing also, just making sure that things fit properly and that the timing is correct. But you're right that usually what happens in this film at the middle usually happens 10 to 15 minutes at the end, before an end of other movies.
All right, so questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was wondering why when Heli took the bags of, that plastic bag with the 2 packages of Coke, was it supposed to be, how was it dripping wet?
Why was it? Because it was in the water tank up.
Yeah, so shouldn't the black plastic bags be dripping wet?
Oh, they were completely soaked, but I guess that doesn't transmit well on film. His t-shirt's all wet, but yeah. I mean, you don't see the whole scene when there's an elapse, maybe 2 minutes after we cut, and then we see him come down. We made sure his t-shirt was wet, and the bags were before he went in outside, he would soak them, and then come in. But I don't know, the black shiny bags, it's difficult to see the water.
There was a shot like halfway through the movie with these 3 severed heads on the trunk of or the hood of the police vehicle. I vaguely recall seeing like 3 severed heads somewhere, like in Google Images. I'm wondering if your story is loosely based on actual events that have been happening or is happening in your country.
Yeah. Asking about, I don't know if everybody heard about the 3 heads. Yeah, those are images that I don't know if I've seen 3 heads exactly in that position, but it's right. Images that are already in the conscious of everybody in Mexico that we have seen over and over again in newspapers, television, not so much, they're not so graphic, but the magazines and the newspapers, yeah. Everything in the movie basically is nothing is based on, I wouldn't say it's based on a true story because it's not, it's imagined, everything that happens. But everything that happens inside the movie is, nobody can say it doesn't happen. Everybody knows or has heard of once that it's happening at least, or it's in that way nothing is original in the movie that's happening. Unfortunately, it all, even children doing those things. That's not every day. Maybe not children that are doing those things every day, but it's happened, and that itself is already pretty bad. Even if it only happened once, but it hasn't just happened once. It's happened more. But yeah, it's all, nothing's new, but the story is what I made the story.
Well, it's a beautiful picture, and thank you for bringing some aspects to light.
Thank you very much.
What's the, if you were to have the audience receive a message from you with this film, what would be the number one message you would want to convey?
I guess it would be to take care of the young people, the babies, and the very young children, the more vulnerable young people. That would be the hope also for the future. If the people that are the ages of the people in the movie are better educated and more taken care of, the future will be better in Mexico. I guess that would be that's why it's all young people in the movie, I think. But that also comes after I made the movie. Then I kind of realized those things.
I just want to add that that was a beautiful film, and I regret not seeing it in Cannes, but congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I wonder if your brother could talk about the casting a little bit, please.
Okay. The casting was, we pretty much looked in all kinds of areas for the actors, and we looked within acting schools and people that were going to professional casting calls, as well as in the street, and calling people that were not actors to come to, inviting them to come to our casting sessions. So the majority of the actors that ended up being in the movie are not professional. They were found either through these casting calls that we asked for people with or without experience, and we did one casting call in Guanajuato in 1 week, and the casting took place during 3 days, and about 1,000 people showed up, and a lot of those ended up being sort of major roles in the film, and a lot of the secondary roles. The main actor, Heli, he was studying to be a professional actor. He had never really acted in a feature film. He had just done student projects, and his little sister, Andrea Vergara, who plays the little sister, I found her in the street. She was walking with her family, and I approached her and her mother and spoke to them about the film and our previous projects. She was a little bit unsure at first, but her mother was happy to participate. So won her mother over first easier, and then once she got to know us better, Andrea, the little girl, she was excited to work with us, and she was great. She was, I think, the easiest to work with of the main cast, and was a pleasure. The boy who played her boyfriend, Beto, he was also not a professional actor. He was found by Daniela Schneider, another person that was helping the casting. He was a security guard at the time at a government building, and yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
Wow.
How old was the young schoolgirl supposed to be in the movie?
She was supposed to be 13.
Oh, 13,
Yeah.
okay, and the kid was 17.
Right.
She was going to run off and marry him.
Yeah. Well,
Can you do that in Mexico?
yeah. Well, what happens a lot of time down there is, yeah, I mean, you can run away. Due to, a lot of people's economic situations, this type of thing happens, and often it's not, well, it's not exactly legal, I wouldn't say, but it's not, it's, a lot of times the parents don't do that much about it because it's the situation that they're kind of forced into accepting. Her sister, the little girl's sister, in real life,
she had her first child. I think she was 14 when she had her first child, so she was a and already when she was like 9 years old or something like that. And so she's within that culture, within that lifestyle, and it's, for her, it was nothing out of the ordinary for that actually to be happening. She's fortunately in school and, you know, doing well right now, and she now wants to be an actress. So.
Yes, ma'am?
Your shots were just incredible, long tracking shots, just really fantastic. How much did this cost? Did you have difficulty raising the funding, and how long did it take to shoot? Because
it took, thank you very much for comment. It took 9 weeks to shoot. The total budget was around $1 million. It took a long time to get it, like 4 years, I think. So during that time, I wrote the movie, did casting for 2 years, I think. So that time that we weren't able to get the money helped to make some parts of the movie better, I guess, because I was able to keep writing and looking for the actors. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Talk about the American you had helping with the training in the military, and also maybe a couple of the biggest challenges of the shoot.
So about the American trainer during the military exercises and the challenges during the shoot. Well, that's also, that scene with the trainer is taken, like ripped from the headlines, from the news exactly. That happened exactly there, very nearby where we were shooting the movie. It was kind of a small scandal in the Mexican news, where they found out that these special forces were being trained by a private trainer from the United States, that ex-military guy that was going down there to give these anti, I'm not sure what they were, but that's also, Kenny and me, we looked at those videos. Well, everybody in the scene that were doing the scene, we looked at the videos and we copied it exactly. So everything that happens there, you could find the real video on YouTube actually. But I don't know if you want to say about your research doing that.
Yeah, Ahmad just sent me this video. He said this is kind of what the scene should be like, and it was a really kind of creepy, eerie kind of video that I think this guy was doing for his own publication or something like that, and he put it up himself maybe to get more interest in what he was doing. But he was just real kind of a sleazy type kind of feel to him, that he was kind of taking advantage of these military troops at one hand and demoralizing them in another and making money, and he was really telling them to do stuff that was even a little more kind of aggressive than we showed, I think. And he said, just look at that and try to get the essence, of that video. And I did, and I tried to play it exactly how it was and try to capture the creepiness of this guy who's just, when you watch it, you're like, oh my God, that guy's like so, gets under your skin. And that was it. And I was like, exactly like it? He said, yeah, just exactly like it. So it's easy to prepare when you have a reference like that, So we did it pretty much verbatim from the video.
All the difficult stuff. At the same time, working with people that had not acted or that had never been in front of a camera and that had no interest in being in front of a camera, that's always a challenge, because there are not many things will arise in that situation, and I had to. I was already expecting it, but I had to rewrite a lot of the script, a lot of the dialogue. At some point, I even had to stop 3 days to rewrite in order to be able to make the movie and not come out with horrible acting. So I had to really take before each scene, go over all the lines, change them so that they would be able to say them in the way that they would more naturally say them. So nobody saw the script, and we didn't do any rehearsal. So every day, I only told them the difficult things that they would have to do before they said yes or no to the project. And every day was a surprise for them, and kept them more curious maybe. And the main actor was quite frustrated at that because he was trained in a theater school. Partly, he was only 6 months at that school, and because if you do a movie, you get kicked out. So he had to choose: he does this, or he stays 4 years at this acting school. So he chose to leave the school, and so he had some ideas of how to act and all these things, and he was kind of frustrated because none of what he was taught, I was kind of like avoiding all that stuff, so he was confused and he went into some crisis and stuff. You can see it in the making of that Martin did also, that will be available later.
So we have time for a couple more questions. Yes, sir, in the back.
Well, the movie was shot in the state of Guanajuato, right?
Yes.
And the action is supposed to also take place there because at the end, the healthcare professional that visits the family tells them that you cannot have an interruption now at this stage in that state.
Yeah, an abortion. Huh?
An abortion, yeah. Is it? What is that? I mean, are there other states where?
I'm not sure. That's where I live in Guanajuato. I imagine that many other states abortion is illegal also, but I'm not that informed. I know there it's illegal, and there's many women in jail that have aborted. Even accidental abortions, that people that don't have enough to go to hospitals, sometimes they have accidental abortions, and they call the doctor, and the doctor calls the police, and they're in jail for many, many years, even if they have other children. So many things. That's why things that make me mad, I put them in the movie. But I don't mention that it's Guanajuato because it doesn't matter so much that it's there. And I think other states also have those same laws. And in fact, in Guanajuato, for example, there was recently, not so recent, maybe a few years ago, the public books were arriving from Mexico City, and the schools in Guanajuato, they took out all the sexual education chapters because they didn't want the children to be, infected by that information, and that's why also a lot of the very young children are having babies also, I think. So it's part of the whole problem that later, 15 years later, 20 years later, men that their mother was 12 or 13, 14 are cutting heads and hanging people, which is, I think it has something to do with that, I think. When your mother is 12 or 13. The baby in the movie, who's 6 months old, the mother was in the set, the mother's 14, for example, had the baby when she was 13. That's why also she was so young, because it's something as well that I was seeing there all the time.
Okay, one last question.
Yep.
Yes.
Given the difficulties
No, please go. Yeah.
Given the difficulties you were talking about earlier, why did you choose to use non actors?
Because I found that's what inspired. That's what inspires me. The people, the real people. So it would be very frustrating for me to be inspired by them and then go look for actors in Mexico City that don't also guarantee me any type of good acting anyway. So I'd rather, if I'm going to do an effort, I just try to work with original ones that inspire me in the first place if they want to, and that's why.
Muchas felicidades. I think, from my point of view, for what I saw in the movie, part of the light of the movie are the elements, like the wind, sometimes the water, sometimes yeah, exactly, the sunset in very important moments of the movie. Did you ever think about these elements as like very important things in the movie?
Okay, so I don't know if everybody heard that.
He's asking about the elements of the wind, the sky, and how that played into the film.
Well, it's the first movie that I shoot outdoors. Usually my other movies, the first one there's barely any outdoors, only at the end for about 5 minutes. And then the second one I shot here in LA, Los Bastardos, which very concrete, so it was different place. But this I shot where I live, around the places where I walk when I imagine what I'm gonna write and what the movie I'm gonna make. And that's how it is. It's very beautiful. The skies are very amazing there, and when it's night, you see all the stars because there's no city, and there's all these rocks and a lot of wind. So it's all the elements that were there that I didn't do too much to force them in there. They were just there, and that's it. But yeah, of course, I'm conscious of them, and they're part of everybody's life there. So they're somehow important. The location was a big inspiration also because I wanted to film around the General Motors assembly plant. That was where the idea kind of came from, to shoot about a family that had moved there. So that was that. And just another anecdote, during the shooting also we had to stop 3 days because the Pope visited the town. So it's the most religious state of Mexico, Guanajuato.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.